I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. Could I have a roll call, please?
Joe Shank present.
Chess Sexton Duranian present.
Veronica Cal present. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to announce that the meeting is on Zoom and being recorded. It is not live on Channel 9 tonight because of a conflict with the planning board.
Okay.
But it will be posted on YouTube after the fact. Chairman's additions or deletions, I have none. Either of you or Ross? All right, so there are no additions or deletions. Public comment? Is anybody interested in commenting? All right, I don't see any hands raised or otherwise, so we will move on. We have no minutes to review or approve this evening, but we will have plenty of minutes next week. So for you guys, look for those in the, we're going to list them, what's ready.
That's under the BS portion now, right? I believe, right?
The BOS
Yeah.
agenda.
Agenda and then meetings and, okay,
And you should look at minutes, yeah.
awesome.
So there's plenty in there right now. And I've only just started to list on the
I'll
agenda.
print them out.
We'll get more of that. 2 appointments with boards, etc., or hearings, we have none. So we're moving to 3, to appoint an acting fire chief.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
may I make a statement, please?
yes.
Before the board discusses the potential appointment of Gary Shepard to the position of acting fire chief, I am making this disclosure. As many of you know, I am the owner of Harbor Auto Body Incorporated. As the town's business owner, we service and repair many of the town's vehicles, especially fire department and Shepco, Gary Shepard's company. Accordingly, I ask the board to accept this disclosure statement and acknowledge that I can participate and vote on issues that involve the fire department and/or Gary Shepard. And I have spoken with the state ethics legal department today, and I have filed a disclosure of conflict of interest, and it's been turned into the town administrator. That's all I have.
I accept.
I do as well. Do we need to have a motion? No?
Sure, a motion would be fine.
Okay, so Chaz, is there a motion?
I move that we accept Mr. Shank's conflict of interest.
And I will second that.
I think it's his disclosure.
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 of
statement.
conflict.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there an official name on that form? Jim?
Disclosure of appearance of conflict of interest as required by General Law 268A 23B3.
So amended.
Second to the amendment. All those in favor?
Chess Sexton Duranian, yes.
Veronica Cal, yes. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
All right. So Ross, should we turn this to you or would you?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
It's okay. Earlier last week, I received a note from Chief Boynton saying that he was going out on medical leave from the 9th through October 1st. I'm sure he's going through some difficult times. It's a difficult time for the department and somewhat of a stress for the town. I talked to multiple people in the department to understand sort of the leadership situation and what is normally done in these situations. And I felt that it was important that we designate an acting chief as soon as possible. and that chief be for the duration of Mark's absence. Which is a little bit different from past where they've rotated the acting chief role. I think it's important to have consistency and clarity as to who that person is each time. So after talking to several people, I decided to appoint Gary Shepard, C1 deputy, who happens to be the senior deputy, to appoint him as acting chief for the duration subject to your vote tonight. In that process, the acting chief will have all the same authority as the full-time chief, so that any matters that the chief might address could be addressed by the acting chief. And that this would stay subject to your vote tonight for the duration that Mark is up.
Okay, so do we want to discuss first or have a motion first and then discussion?
Either or, it doesn't matter to me.
I prefer a motion.
I prefer motion as well. So I move that we appoint Gary Shepard as acting fire chief for the duration of the current chief's absence.
And I will second that. So I guess my question for you, Ross, is, unless you want to ask questions first, Chaz, are you good with me going?
No, go ahead.
Did you talk to both Gary and
Really? Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
Okay,
As well as others in the department.
all right.
I talked to them for the purpose of gathering information. It was not for the sense of getting a vote from the members of the fire department and picking someone accordingly. Because
Okay,
I think that this decision that rests in this building, initially with me, because I wanted it, we need to move quickly, and then now with the board are the one of the sole appointees of people in these type of positions.
Okay.
So
that was my question. So Chaz, do you have questions?
I do not have any questions. I support your decision. I also support Mr. Shepard being acting chief for now, so.
I think it makes sense to have a single person during the time that Chief Boynton is out. So I will also support that decision.
I don't know whether Gary or Billy want to say something tonight, or
Would either of you like to speak?
I support the decision also.
I'm glad to hear that. So thank you. Gary?
I thank you for the honor, thank you for the privilege. I hope to be able to execute the job as well as Chief Boynton has. We've had a meeting last Thursday with all the command officers, if you will, lieutenants and captains, myself excluding one that was not available. And I think we have a plan to hopefully have a seamless transition during his absence, to be able to deliver the necessary services if someone calls for help.
With that,
I think this is just, it's set up now while it's the way I understand in you, Ross, is until, so if this goes beyond the first, are you capable and going to be able to extend your services for us? Not saying it's gonna happen, but just
The
so we don't have to have another meeting.
Sure, and the first is on a Friday,
Mhm.
so I don't know anything about, but yes, I'd be happy to do what I can to support the town.
anything else, Joe?
No, I'm good. Billy, do you have anything that you'd like to say? You've been
Managed my
there.
way through 7 full-time chiefs and several acting chiefs, and I'll have the back to this one.
That's very good. That's good leadership and strong leadership, and that's what we need.
Thank you. If you're good with us.
So
Make a
we
vote.
need a vote. So all those in favor?
Joe Shank, yes.
Chaz Sexton Duranian, yes.
Veronica Kelly, yes. So thank you
Welcome
both
aboard,
for coming in. And
Chiefs,
Thank you.
deputy. Thank you for your support.
Thank
and
you.
All the help you
Thank you
can
very
give
much.
everybody.
Thank you
We
very much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Billy, thank you.
Joe?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Do the virtual shake.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a virtual shake.
Good job.
Thank
See
you.
you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
All right. Did something?
What are we looking?
Oh, there's a pen.
We steal them, so. don't leave it.
Yes, we do. I'm really bad at it.
Living a dream.
Thank you. Okay,
All
next.
right.
That's awesome.
um,
That's good. That's good camaraderie to work together. That's awesome.
So I just like the idea of one person.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
opposed to switching off.
I think it's important for the stability of a department.
I agree. All right, so moving on to 4.1. Meeting business. This is to approve the road closures for cross-country meets at North Middlesex Regional High School on September 15th and October 5th. Were those the only two, Ross?
Those are only two that they told us about.
Okay, did you hear from Chief Sartell on this?
Yes, and he and I share the same opinion that in the future, we had asked the school to give us much more notice. We received this on Monday, the 6th, requesting time off on the 15th, and that happened to be between the
Meeting.
board's normal meeting. So I appreciate you adding this to the agenda so quickly. It sounds like the chief can accommodate these, but it will be sort of some shuffling on his part to get the right details available. And this is why we need more notice, so these can be
Right.
part of his plan.
Will those details be paid to the school?
I thought I read that they were. I did think that I read something.
I read something that it was
I
being paid.
thought
for.
so, but
I
I
did.
wasn't. I'm just
trying to figure out which one it was in, because there were like three.
so we have it on the record.
I don't see anything that I can concretely answer that one way or the other, so we will find out.
Okay. Just give me 1 minute, because
For me, the school has a very huge budget, and for us to try to put any extra burden on the police department's budget, I think that'd be unfair to that department. So it would be, maybe we tell them that's fine as long as whatever the cost is that they pick that up.
What would you say would be adequate notice? 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I would like to say 3 weeks, just because that should cover a 2-week interval of the select board meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice to say a month or more, but sometimes these things pop up, and I don't want to end up restricting the school from having these events.
Mhm.
I think in general, having this type of activity in town is good for the town.
Mhm.
It's everybody know a lot of things are happening here.
Mhm.
But
So if whatever we decide on this, if we could communicate that to the school, that in the future, 3 weeks would be adequate for us to be able to accommodate. In there, and again, I do agree that there may be some unforeseen things, so, once in a while is okay, but I don't want this to turn into something that we're gonna get it last minute like this.
I would like to see it as soon as they're scheduled, because if 3 weeks is great for us for meeting, but what if we say no? And not that what if we say no? Does that give them enough time to reschedule for a different course somewhere else? Because there would be buses involved on both ends, and planning for parents to, pick up kids, et cetera, et cetera.
So this would have been planned, I would think, many months.
I think in a typical year, that's true. With COVID and not
It was
exactly knowing
less.
how the beginning of the school year was going to run, maybe
Gotcha.
that's different this year.
Yeah.
But I think in general, I would want to know as soon as the athletic director has the schedule plan.
Yes, Andrew?
We just need to make sure that everybody out there understands that.
Hello, who's this? No, Paul's not here.
We want to make sure, just reiterating what you've just said, Madam Chair, that we want to make sure that everybody out there, all citizens, know that we will support whatever we have to for the school and the track and the children. So the comment you made isn't that I ever think we wouldn't, but we would just like better chance to make sure we're ahead of it.
Yeah, and I think that Chaz's point where 3 weeks is what we need to make sure we cover up an appointment, we just so happen to have.
But
this
it's not just
meeting.
us. We also have to
Mhm.
communicate with public safety. We have to
Right.
communicate with the chief. He has to make sure that he has the right officers on and that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm concerned about. I want more functions like this if we can. but
Oh,
as
yeah,
long
more
as-
we bring into town, the children, the schools, that it's good for everybody. Businesses, they bring in people, they spend money. It's a no-win situation for all of us. And with that new high school, the new track, I'm sure they would love to show it off, and that's a good way to do it.
All right, so is there a motion?
I move that we approve the road closure request for North Middlesex School for September 15th and October 5th.
Is there a second?
Second,
All right, any further discussion? Ross, do you have anything else?
Thank you.
All right, so, ready to vote. All those in favor?
Joe Shank, yes.
Chaz Sexton Duranian, yes.
Veronica Cal, yes. All right. So, work session, are there any updates or reports, town administrator? Nothing? Board liaison reports? I have nothing at this point.
I have nothing.
General government, elected boards, public safety, those are the liaisons. I added those to the agenda so that we would have them every week. Announcements and communications, we have none. Our next meeting is a regular meeting next week, Tuesday, September 21st at 6 p.m. And I believe we've already voted to review and sign payroll and bills payable warrants out of session for this week,
one, yes. Yeah.
because we hadn't expected to have a meeting this week. So.
We did the 1st and the 15th, or the 5th and
Last Thursday we're here, I signed, so it must have been right then, right?
we signed on Tuesday.
Yeah.
That Tuesday.
Right. So, all right. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn at 6:18.
Second.
Is there a second. All right.
Oh,
All
we're
those in favor?
Joe Shank, yes.
Chaz Sexton Duranian, yes.
Veronica Cal, yes. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good evening, and we will see you next week.